What's up, guys? Our first patch notes are here, so I'm going to go over them. This is basically the open creation patch notes that came at February 11th. There should be more patch notes coming on February 25th when they roll out the rest of the changes. Still some bugs that I've noticed already in my maybe 2 hours of playing thus far, but we're going to go over these patch notes. So we'll just jump right into it. We have new hero progression. Basically, when your hero gets to the max XP bar, it'll automatically level up instead of going to the hero trainer and all of that. For me, this is kind of a bad thing, only because I like to keep heroes' specific levels to help me run viewer castles, closer to their levels. I'll still be able to do that because using profile mode won't level me up. It won't give me any experience. So there's no huge changes there. I mean, if you want to keep your person the same level, the only problem is you won't be able to attack castles in like the attack page, which actually is kind of a big deal for some people because what I've noticed right now is it's actually kind of easy for you to spiral out of control with your hero level rather than being able to actually keep resources enough to be able to level everything up in your castle. But I don't know, it's not that big of a deal. New monetization system. For me, this isn't a big deal because the main thing that they changed is worker cabin and finish now and all of that. And even with the upgrade timers and all of that finish now stuff, it takes maybe a month to get to the end game and to get to level 30 and 32 if you really want to get there. So I never really thought that was a big deal, but a lot of people really like this change. To purchase additional heroes, you have to spend 1,000 bling, which I think could be a little bit steep. Right now we need 3,000 more bling once the runaway comes out for new people to get an extra hero. And the big thing is for free-to-play players, when they come in and they pick a hero and maybe that hero is underpowered or not what they want, they won't really have the chance to switch unless they want to make an entire new account. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But I do think that some people could get around that whole 1,000 bling model if they really wanted to by just creating like 3 or 4 accounts and having one of each hero. I mean, it's a possible thing to do. If people really wanted to play for free and have all of the heroes, it would take a little bit longer, but that's kind of the whole free to play versus pay to advance type of thing. Alright, so castle level. Your castle level is basically determined by your castle heart now. The castle heart now has 30 ranks. I think this is a fine change. It also mitigates some exploits that you could possibly do. So I think it's a solid change. Not really much to say about it. Hero level, as I said already, hero level is just automatic now. The hero trainer was removed. You now get an XP boost to the hero when your hero when the hero and the castle level are close. So basically the difference between the hero and the castle level, if it gets too far, you start to lose experience. If you keep it at 0, which is basically the same level hero, same level castle, you get a 30% XP boost. I think this is a kind of a neat way of keeping things close, because from what I've noticed in just playing for a couple of hours is my hero tends to spiral out of control up to that +4 mark here, and then my castle will slowly catch up as I gain more life force and gold. Because if you're getting looted constantly, you can't really keep upgrading your castle fast enough to keep up. You have to upgrade so many things that by the time you actually get enough life force and gold to level up your castle, your hero's already +4 or something. So I guess it's an interesting way of trying to keep things close. I'll have to see how that actually works as I'm leveling up my hero a little bit more. I'm only like 2 hours in, so. Alright, so machinery upgrades. Basically, there are no upgrade timers anymore. As soon as you get the life force and gold, it'll upgrade automatically. I think that's fine. I never really minded the upgrade timers either, so either way, it's okay. I used to just log on, once a day and just start upgrades, stuff like that. But this way, it's actually, better for pretty much everybody. It's not nearly as boring. If you want to play for 8 hours straight and make progress, you can make progress, so that's good. Remove the finish nows, as I mentioned in the monetization thing, and also the worker cabin. So, good changes all around. So this is basically the economy stuff. I'm not going to go over all of the prices and the differences between them. You guys can check out these charts if you're interested in that. But basically they changed the mine production rates and the capacity and all of that, and the costs on everything. So this is basically the hit points of the mines, because now they can be lootable. So you kind of want to just hide your mines. From what I've noticed is if the person has two choices of like the correct way and the wrong way to go, if you put your mine in like the wrong way to go, a lot of people just keep going through your castle, get to the end, realize they missed a mine, have to either backtrack or miss out on the timer. And that's kind of what I've noticed is you can get a lot of people to just hit 2 stars pretty easily by doing that. Alright, so the victory conditions have changed. You get 1 star for finishing the castle without dying, you get 1 star for looting all the mines, and you get 1 star for defeating the defender's timer. I've found that defeating the defender's timer, unless you have really like a lot better gear than the defender, is very difficult because they don't have to loot gold or items. So, you know, you can, as an archer, shoot a mine from afar, and then it drops gold all around it. If you want that gold or life force, you have to walk over to it and collect it, whereas the defender didn't have to do that. So they get a couple seconds out of that, as well as knowing their defense ahead of time. It makes a pretty good advantage for this star specifically. That being said, I think I've only died to 1 castle so far in 2 hours of playing, and probably looting, you know, 30 castles or so. You know, I'm at 150 crowns, which isn't a ton, but I'll be getting there. The amount of gold and life force looted in the treasure room no longer depends on the number of stars gained. Change the amount of crowns earned per star. 1 star equals 20% of the crowns. 2 stars equals 50%, and 3 stars equals 100%. So I'm not exactly sure. Do you get the same amount of gold and life force looted in the treasure room regardless? Because it's not depending on stars anymore? I'm not actually sure. They didn't really specify what that depends on. I mean, stars are now only based like around crowns, which is fine. I don't care either way. I mean, this victory condition stuff is fine. Your castle now needs to be validated by yourself. A lot of people were complaining about this. I think it's an okay change, but that being said, I'm a really good attacker. I realize some people play this for the defending aspect, and they're not nearly as good at attacking, so they can't make strong castles, and I could see that being a problem. I do like how it all ties in together, in my opinion. How, you know, you can spend a couple hours looting this really great item, and then now that makes you be able to validate harder and harder castles. I like that idea. A couple things that I don't really like about it is way back when, like, I don't know, back in summer or something, really good items with high DPS were easy to find, and those items are still kind of floating around out there. And since this progression wipe didn't wipe items, those items are still going to be kind of around. So you're going to have a couple people with these really good items that you can technically find them still. You can find items with the same stats. The problem is it wasn't as random as it is now. Items had specific set stats, and a lot of them had DPS, so it was easy to find high DPS items. Whereas now there's so many extra prefixes that you can get on items, it's a lot harder to find DPS, and then you have to roll the DPS to get it high enough to actually use it. So I think items in general still need a little bit of work. And they also did say that they were going to go through and change some of the items. So if they go through and change some of those items down a little bit and nerf them a little bit, then it'll probably be fine. Like I still have some of those items at level 30. I was using 24 items because they were from, you know, summer when I farmed them back then, and I couldn't find better items even at level 30. So you can kind of see the difference there. So we'll have to see how that actually plays into it, like comes into effect when everybody starts getting higher and higher level. Alright, so creatures restriction zones have been removed. That's open creation. Basically, you can place creatures everywhere. There's a couple things that I've noticed and that you should stay away from in general. If I can give any tip to people as they're first starting out, this right here. You need to take a look and read this. We'll get there in just a second. But this is basically the biggest problem that I've seen with people's castles thus far, and I've been able to exploit it quite a bit and just complete castles really, really quickly. So creatures now have a line of sight and their own aggro range. So basically there's a little circle around it. You can move it with Alt. There's a bug when you move it with Alt. Basically the circle isn't actually, it doesn't actually display correctly where the aggro range is. So basically the creatures will highlight when you move around your little aggro range circle, and that's when it's actually working. Just play around with it a little bit, test it a little bit, and see how it's working for you, because there is some bugs with the aggro ranges. Hopefully that'll get fixed, you know, in a couple weeks when open beta comes out or something like that. So this attack ticket system, I really hate this system a lot actually. Um, but basically, your creatures, even when they're aggroed, they won't attack you unless you attack them if their max defense points are equal to this. So basically, if you have a level 1 to 10 castle, if I aggro your entire dungeon and I don't attack it, only 20 points of the defense will attack me at one time, regardless. And I guess also the boss room, if it goes up to like 36. So I don't know if that adds together if I aggro the entire thing, but if I aggroed every room until the boss room, you would only have 20 points of creatures attacking me at one point, unless I attack them first. They'll literally just follow me and stand there until I kill something from this 20 defense points. So I really don't like that. The main thing that I've kind of come into contact with and made my attacking easy is people that use over 20 defense points from the level 1 to 10 range, or over 36 points in the boss room. Basically, they'll have like their entire castle all in the boss room, all trying to aggro it at once. And when I attack it with one auto attack, it only pulls 36 points of the group. So I can deal with that, and then I can attack it again and deal with 36 points of the group, and it makes it really easy. I can sometimes even bypass the rest of the mobs. Um, let's say you have a full room of mobs here, and I attack the one on the side here, and like this half comes towards me. I just can kind of skirt around the outside. The rest of this is left, to just stand there and do nothing. I can just skirt around the edge and get to the treasure pretty easily. So just be aware of how many points can attack at what levels. And I mean, I don't like this change really. I think that if you can complete it yourself, it should be able to just be thrown in. Like I feel like they could have went a little bit higher on this and opened it up a little bit more and seen how the exploits happen before they restricted it all down like this. But we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Open beta is still probably more so a work in progress than anything else. Creatures are now damaged by traps, and creatures have developed artificial intelligence to avoid traps. Their artificial intelligence is terrible. I mean, it's just awful. It's dreadful. Mouse traps, do not use them in your castle because you can literally get exploited to hell by an archer. Like, I had some castle that I aggroed, I don't know, probably 50 points in their boss room, and all I did was go behind a mousetrap, and they would just stand there trying to get around the mousetrap, but they wouldn't actually go through it. And if they did, they would get hit by it, and then they would like back away. And it just kept happening over and over, and they could never get within range of me. Their artificial intelligence is terrible, and in general, I don't think you should use traps in conjunction with creatures almost ever unless it's a slow trap. That's just how I feel as of right now. We'll see how it gets better and stuff like this. But I do think that they should either make the artificial intelligence better or remove this entire thing altogether, because right now it's really broken. If you use traps with creatures, you can just get behind the traps and just attack them from afar, and they almost never go through the traps because they're so scared of getting a little bit of damage, and they just behave really weird. I don't know. It's just really odd. Let's see. So traps. Basically, this is all the trap updates. So right now, you can place traps anywhere. You need a trap generator to activate the trap. Traps in general are pretty good, but traps with creatures are a lot worse now because they take damage and then they get all weird with their AI. So this is all the differences. I'm not going to go over each one of these, but basically they just change the cost and the defense points and all of that. And they changed a little bit of the footprint sizes. I don't think there's huge changes here. They've increased maybe this by like one by one and stuff like that. I haven't noticed anything huge about this though, for the most part. I think that, let's see, having rotated cannon traps at 3 being 5 defense points is definitely playing to the metagame right now, because ballistic cannons are not that much worse to take only 3. I think that this change will hurt rotating cannon traps at the late game. What else is there? Most of this seems okay. Springboard traps, I feel like they could probably deal with only being 2. I don't know. Maybe even 1. I mean, they're not 1. That's silly. That's too low. But 3 defense points seems a little high for spring traps. They're not that good. although you can set up certain things that if the knight doesn't have charge, they like auto die. So I mean, that's the only thing that a springboard trap is good on, because it forces knights to have charge, which isn't really that good of an ability. Hamster wheels, as I said, with AI like it is, it's just no good. And then the rest of this is pretty normal. I think the rest of this is kind of in line where it should be, except for the rotating cannon traps. I think they should all be like, this can be 2, this could be 3 or 2, and this could be 3, maybe 4. Probably 4, because ballistic cannons are a little bit worse than them. Alright. The area outside of the castle entrance has been increased. That's, no big change. Potions have been increased. Basically, they've been cut down a little bit, which I think is good. This just makes attacking a little bit harder, but not a ton harder. I mean, it's still pretty good. Although I think this hurts knights more than it would hurt archers, so that's one thing, is that, knights are already kind of weaker. Although they did get a little bit of a buff, so did archers, so I don't know. I don't play knights to know how much this actually changes, but I don't think fire weapon or flame coat was ever used in the late game by knights at like level 30 plus, or even 24 plus. So this is a necessary change, though. This makes charge a little bit better, and it actually, since it's necessary, this is good. Bleed damage is a decent buff for headshot, but I mean, when you're headshotting, you're generally one-shotting things anyway, or you're going to need to finish it off with an attack or two, so it's not a huge change. And then bear traps and caltrops being an instant skill is a pretty big buff for archers. Not a huge buff because their animation wasn't huge anyway. You could already, throw down bear traps as a Cyclops was charging you, and it would get down on the ground. So I don't think it's going to be a huge thing. Storm armor, I think, is another skill that I don't see used ever. So, yeah, meh, whatever. Alright, so we have the competition, the leaderboard thing. They removed a lot of these achievements, and basically crowns are the big thing right now. You have a crown league. So basically, as you get to these crown levels, I don't know exactly what the reward multiplier and attack means. I know that they were talking about something, and I don't know if it's like golden life force or if it's crowns or what it is that you get, but you get extra for being at higher tiers. I just don't know exactly what it is. Maybe when you attack. Okay, I think maybe it's if you like attack a boss, you get 15% extra as someone else, but I'm not 100% sure on that. If you guys know for sure, you can throw it in the comments below. Gold reward when entering. So basically, when you enter the league, I'm guessing you get these gold rewards. I don't think that's a big deal. Gold is kind of useless in general. And then bling, well, I mean, at the later games. I'm talking about late game, but I mean, I guess as you're leveling up, I guess this could be good. And then you get these bling rewards when you're maintaining it. So I think once a week you can get these 5 bling rewards here, and then once a week when the top players in each league get this much. Which I don't know about this. I mean, I feel like it would be better for me to sit at like 5.99 or something right here, or 9.99, rather than go up, because I want this reward rather than the next tier of maintaining a reward. So I'm not sure exactly how that'll all work. I feel like getting your crowns to as close as this number as possible right before would be the best thing, because then you can get these higher bling rewards. But either way, it's not a ton of blings. It doesn't matter that much. Okay, so you removed honor rewards and honor point rewards and replaced them by blings in competitive castle in the competition zone. This is actually really cool. I didn't actually read this the first time I read through, but basically when you do the competition zone, which used to be kind of worthless, no one really did it. I guess a couple of people did, but I never really did it because honor points were worthless. But now blings, it's something to actually work towards. If you want to get a hero, you can constantly be running these and hoping to get a little bit of bling to be able to purchase your next hero or something like that. I don't know the numbers because I haven't looked at it yet. And then they changed the crown gains. It's now based on the difference between hero and the castle, as well as the difference between the attacker and the defender's crowns. So if an attacker that's really good at attacking, something like a boss, attacks someone who's like unranked, they won't get nearly as many crowns as if they attacked someone that's kind of closer to them in, I guess, skill level. But I guess skill level is kind of... Generally, you accumulate crowns by attacking. You can do it by defending, but it's a lot slower. People don't attack you all that much. And in general, you'll be winning, 60 or 70% of your defense rather than you could win maybe 90 to 95% of your attacks. I guess in terms of me, I don't know. I guess some people might lose a little bit more because that would have to happen. So I don't know. Either way, I mean that's a fine change. I don't think it's gonna affect things all that much. And then they added a new Frost theme in the Emporium. So that's pretty much the entire patch notes that we have here. There was something under creatures that says creature stats have been updated. So basically, I think that's tooltips, but I'm not 100% sure if that means, you know, they've changed creature stats or if they've just updated them from what they were to, like, the tooltips were probably wrong and they updated them to what they are now. I don't know exactly how what that actually means, but we don't have any creature patch notes like they said they were going to throw out, so I'm guessing that's going to be coming on the 25th, and that's the one thing that I'm pretty excited about reading. So that's pretty much it. Um, let me know what you guys think of the patch down in the comments below. I think it needs some work. You know, a lot of the things that I was mentioning that I didn't really like was like the creature AI system and stuff like that for traps is the biggest thing. The ticket system where your creatures won't attack you. I don't know where that actually was. The ticket system. I think this needs work, and I think this needs work. The creatures now damaged by traps and the artificial intelligence. Other than that, I think it's an overall good change. I think like the game is really fun right now. It's actually like really bloodthirsty at the lower level from like 5 to 10. Everybody's attacking everybody. It's even hard just to find castles that aren't shielded. I've gotten attacked 4 or 5 times, and it's pretty crazy right now. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.